Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Fred Meyer. I'm giving another talk in a series of talks on Buddhist enlightenment. What we've been discussing over the last 3 or 4 talks is stages on the path to enlightenment. We have discussed egolessness of self, which is the absence of a self, egolessness of other, which is the absence of any sort of fundamental existence to the world at large. And we have seen that those two absences are the same. And we can think of them as space, because they do have a sense of space. Like when you lose the sense of self, there is a space inside that's left when you lose that sense of self. So we can think of them as spaces, and at the point of non-duality, the two spaces have become one. So from our standpoint of how it feels, there's no longer an inside and an outside. There's no longer inside me and the world at large. It's all one thing now. And when that space becomes all one thing that extends limitlessly, you have at that point experienced emptiness, or shunyata. And this is a really important point on the path. It's quite pivotal in understanding the true nature of mind. In fact, it is one of the major aspects of the true nature of mind, is emptiness. So it's a big step. And I have talked about it in an earlier talk, so I'm not going to get into it very much at this point, except to say that's where we are now. And at this point, for what it's worth, you are now considered realized. So if someone says someone is realized, that implies that they have reached this level on the Buddhist path. They experienced the true nature of mind, which is emptiness, and also that true nature of mind is awareness as well. And at this point, we also see that awareness, the nature of awareness, is empty. And we also see that emptiness is aware. We have this sense of this experience that extends throughout limitless space and that pervades us and the world. And we see that that sense of emptiness is aware as well. So that's where we are. And for those who, from an academic standpoint, let me say that there are 3 stages in Vajrayana Buddhism. There's the Hinayana stage, the Mahayana stage, and the Vajrayana stage. And where we are at this point is at the end of the Mahayana with the experience of emptiness. And we are about to enter into the Vajrayana aspect. Now, this emptiness, when it happens, is amazing. I mean, it really turns one's world upside down in a very nice way. So I don't know, I can't tell you who or what can dwell on it at this point, because there's certainly no self any longer. But there is some attention that one will sort of step outside of this complete experience of emptiness and dwell on it a bit. And this will can for a long time have us stay at this point at the end of the Mahayana, because we're so fascinated by emptiness and we want to experience it because it's such a wonderful thing. I mean, at that point it is what we are, but believe me, you can try to be, you can try to do what you are. In fact, most of us spend our life trying to do what we already are, okay, through meditation or whatever. So one can do that. But at some point, that whatever it is that's dwelling on it dissolves, and at that point, you know, at that point, truly, you are emptiness, and the world is emptiness, and there's no distinction at all. It's all one thing at that point. And when that happens, we start to relax and dwell on it less. It's not such a big deal anymore as it was before. And when we do that, we actually start to transition into the Vajrayana. And at that point, instead of emptiness, form begins to become more important. Instead of our attention being on emptiness, we start to notice form in the world. Dogs or whatever forms there are. Yeah. You know, the sky or stars or whatever. Those forms become more and more important. And not only do they become more important, but form starts to become much more vivid. And this is because awareness, the awareness component of mind, is starting to get stronger and stronger. And it seems to us like form is all of a sudden getting sharper and more noticeable for some reason or another. But really, it's not the form that's doing anything. It's mind. It's mind. It's awareness. Our awareness is becoming heightened, and form takes on this vivid sharpness, you can even say realness, although everything is unreal at this point. It just gets really vivid. And this is an indication of progressing in the Vajrayana. And this is sometimes called luminosity. You'll read about the luminosity of things. Actually, it's the luminosity of mind. And a way you can think of that is mind has this knowing quality, and it starts to, the way it knows the world becomes more vivid. And that's the luminous aspect that gives form this sharpness and vivid nature. This, if I may mention, my teacher, Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, developed teachings called the Shambhala teachings that are based on Buddhism. It's all one thing, by the way. If you get into any disciplines that are supposed to be dealing with enlightenment or anything like that, they have to deal with the true nature of mind. If they're not dealing with the true nature of mind, then you know they're not dealing with enlightenment as I'm talking about it. Okay, so it deals with the same thing, the true nature of mind and so forth, but it has a little different approaches. And one of these approaches is through this heightened awareness that we start to have as we get into the Vajrayana. And one particular aspect of the Shambhala teachings is how our senses, how we sense the world becomes more vivid for us. And it's actually quite wonderful because what we hear, say, or what we see begins to connect us more and more with the enlightened nature of mind. It sort of causes that mind to be present. But actually, what we hear and what we see is that mind. Dualism is gone at this point. It is that mind. But just for you to understand, so these are ways that the environment can help us before enlightenment to give us an insight into it, and after realization or enlightenment to continue to connect us with that mind. So it's quite wonderful. Just as an aside, I have to talk about crickets. Crickets are fantastic. The sound that a cricket makes, and this is not only my thing, in the Orient they actually have crickets in cages. They have cricket cages because they love the sound. They also fight them and keep them in cages, but that's not why I would keep a cricket in a cage. Okay, it's that sound. There's very special sounds. I mean, all sounds can do it, but the crickets are really wonderful. So some night in the summer when your windows are open and the crickets are making their noise, just sit there and listen to the nature of your mind. That's what they're telling you, the nature of your mind. So, anyhow, thank you so much for listening. And I truly do hope that these comments are of help to you.